There, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto channel. So I'm sitting inside a Jeep Commander. It's got the big 5.7 Hemi in it. Now, a while back, I did some cylinder heads on it. This thing was eating antifreeze and oil like it was its job. When that happens, more often than not, it trashes the catalytic converter, overheats it, plugs it up, you know, stuff like that. In this case, the converter didn't plug, just chemically it does not work anymore. I want to go through and show you how I'm going to verify my repair. We're going to take a quick look at the converter, looking at scan tool data, upstream and downstream oxygen sensors, easiest way to look at it. Verify that it is indeed broke, our O2 sensors work. I'm going to replace the converter, then we're going to look at the new data to make sure that our new converters do work. Not going to get in depth into catalytic converters and how they work. However, I will link down in the description box a fantastic place. I think it's How Stuff Works, perhaps. And they have a great explanation, simplified, how catalytic converters work, how the reductant and catalyst process works chemically within the converter to reduce tailpipe emissions. That's going to be the best way to explain that to you. I'm going to show you what we typically see on scan data. Fire this little guy up. Now it has a P0430, and that's going to be for bank 2. Now let's see here. Make sure this keeps it all up on my screen. Why is it not communicating? Oh, you son of a monkey. I got to go through and pick out my data list. That's one thing that's a little frustrating about this tool. So what we're going to be looking at is bank 1 and bank 2 oxygen sensors. I've got bank 1 and bank 2, both the upstreams. We should see those switching as it's trying to keep the car at the perfect air-fuel ratio of 14.7 to 1, plus feed the converters a little bit of oxygen. And then our downstream, so what we typically see, I should take this back, on a regular oxygen sensor, not an air-fuel ratio sensor, we're going to see the switching rate from, 0 to 1 volt, roughly, or 10 to, 90 millivolts, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll see them switching, which we can see. Now, downstream on warmed-up catalytic converters, we should see a relatively steady signal, 700 millivolts, 800 millivolts, somewhere in there. I just want to change my scales here. This thing has auto-ranging scales. It's frustrating as heck. So we'll watch bank 1. So this is driver's side bank on this car. Our upstream should switch, but if our catalytic converter is working, we should have a pretty steady signal out of the rear O2 sensor. Now this is just very general rules here. So I'll give her a little throttle. We can see our upstream is switching like crazy, and our downstream is holding nice and steady. Now this is just sitting in the bay, no load. Don't be tricked by this. A lot of times you can take them down the road and all of a sudden, it can't handle the extra fuel, extra air. But we look over here at bank 2, now this is the one that has a code for, we can see our upstream and our downstream are both switching at the same rate. That's a real quick indicator that the catalytic converter is not functioning at all. And it's easy to see the difference between, bank 1 and bank 2, upstream and downstream. So we gathered a little bit of baseline. Time to swap out some parts. Another good thing to look at before, if you're just looking at data, before you just go wing, $1,000 in converters on your car, is it burning oil? Is it consuming antifreeze? Does it misfire? All of that stuff will ruin the converter. One of the precious metals they use in the converter, I think it's the palladium, I'd have to double check, has a melting point that's only a couple hundred degrees Fahrenheit above what the converter actually runs at temperature-wise. So that's why converters get ruined so fast with, misfires or oil burning, stuff like that. It just, takes it past its melting point, ruins the precious metals in there, and then, the chemical oxidation catalyst reduction process can't happen. So there's our old converter. You guys can see that. It's quite a monstrosity, especially when you try to pack it up in here. Now, it was snug getting up in there, and getting to the O2 sensor connectors is a pain in the hoo-ha. Took a little bit of torch action, a little bit of swearing, a little bit of heating and beating, but the new one's in. So we're back in the vehicle. Typically on a Chrysler, if you have the DRB, which mine is loaned out right now, you would go in and do a catalyst replace to let it know the converter is new. I think we can just do an ECU reset. I could be wrong on that. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss it here. There we go, yeah. Reset test, that's where it would be. So we're going to do that. All right. this does not have the option for catalyst replace. So what we'll do is we'll back out. That should have ditched our codes. We'll double check here. I don't expect to see any. Engine light's flashing now, so that typically tells me ECU's been reset, no codes. Alright, so no codes. So what I'll do is I will get some data pulled up here, and we will look at the data on the new converter. Fingers crossed our new one's good. What I'm going to do while we're waiting for that, start it, just make sure we didn't have any major exhaust leaks down there. Let the converter start warming up. Hopefully by the time we get in, we can see a good working converter. So let it run here for just a little bit, just to warm up. We can see both of our downstream O2 sensors are reading nice and steady. Our upstreams are switching. Now don't be so worried about the, the herky-jerky that you might see there. The update rate on the scan tool is not actual raw data, so it's being processed. So when this auto ranges, it makes the graph look kind of funny, so just a little FYI there. We may have too much data on the screen to be capturing. Let's get rid of some stuff here. We'll bring her up one more. Not storing oxygen too well. Let's see. Yeah, dang it. Unfortunately, the update rate's too slow to see that front O2 switching, but we can see our rear O2 is working well, working really good, our converter rather. We'll let it idle so it updates a little better for us here. But this is the one we had problems with before, is Bank 2, and we can see that our downstream is working absolutely fantastic. So as we watch these scroll across the screen, the next thing to do is actually take it for a ride, because this can change drastically under load, particularly if you have a catalytic converter just on the verge of failing. Alright, something to keep in mind is, what strategy does the ECM use to look at the converter? They have two different strategies that I know of that they use, index switch ratio and oxygen storage capacity. So our index switch ratio is what Chrysler uses, and a lot of times you can find this in service info, sometimes you can't. I looked it up just so I could share it with you, and I'll read it to you. And they write, the state of change catalyst monitor uses the signals from both the upstream and the downstream O2 sensors to detect the aging of the catalyst, based on the fact that when the catalyst ages, it loses some of its oxygen storage capacity. As a result, part of the untreated exhaust gases can break through the catalyst and cause the downstream O2 sensor to deviate from its neutral stoichiometric position. By observing the activities in the downstream O2 signal, the degradation level of the catalyst can be detected. In general, the higher the downstream O2 sensor SOC value, or state of change, the more exhaust gas breakthrough and the lower OSC, or oxygen storage capacity, of the catalytic converter. When it's monitored, they monitor it between 1400 and 2300. And in order to set the light, the final state of change index is within a calibrated fail threshold. It's a 2-trip fault, 3 trips turns off the mill. So basically, it's looking at the switching rate of the upstream O2 sensor. It's comparing it to the switching rate of the downstream O2 sensor, and if it falls within its threshold of too many flickers versus how many flickers the upstream's doing, it throws a light on. Now this is what I don't like about the auto ranging portion. You can see our min-max values are 800 and 780 millivolts, so you'll see that switching, so don't be alarmed by that. Just look at our value, it's nice. Sometimes you just give her a little toot of the throttle and change the values, but these converters work so well, even when we drop it lean, they don't change. So there's that. Hopefully it helps. I feel confident about this repair. We'll leave it at that, folks. Time to move on to another repair. Get things shut down here. Let this thing finish burning off. It stinks. So I just wanted to show you part of my process for diagnosing your P0420, P0430, and mostly the verification. Is that converter bad? you know, a couple things we're going to look at, like say fuel trims, misfires, engine oil consumption, talk to your customer, you know, get the skinny. Now we knew that this engine was burning a lot of oil and a lot of coolant. We fixed the engine, did the cylinder heads on it. He drove it for a while to make sure the oil consumption problem and stuff was resolved, and it was. Then, you know, we put the converter on it, so he kind of took a gamble, rolled the dice, but in this case it worked out well. And then we could verify with the scan tool that, you know, yeah, we did it. It works. That converter is working great. Now, if this system uses oxygen storage capacity, it would require a test drive for us. Or sometimes, like on GMs, a lot of them, you can run the OSC test right in the bay by holding it at a certain RPM for 10 minutes, then letting it idle, putting it in drive, and then what it does, the ECM will force it rich, then it will force it lean, and it checks the switch state of that converter to see how long it held the oxygen in the converter. It watches the RO2 sensor. So, like I say, service info, it's good to have. It's not always in there, but a little bit of poking you can usually find out. Anyhow, why don't you guys go down there and poke that subscribe button, ring the bell while you're at it, and just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.